There you go. How's that? Is it
Yay.
better? Any feedback?
No, it's a little echoey, but it doesn't have feedback.
I don't know why it does that sometimes, but hello. Hi, Eric.
Hello.
Hi, Eric. I like
Eric
you.
says hi.
And I'm going to let you pick between two topics today, Eric. One is autism. I get a lot of questions about autism, and the other is about all these shootings, the school shootings, etc. You choose.
Well, he wants to talk about both of them.
Oh, well, we will eventually.
So then let's go ahead and hash out autism again.
Okay.
And then he says next time we get together, we can really blow up on gun use.
Blow up on gun use. Sounds good.
Oh.
It's a hot topic now.
Mm.
Let's say autism. It seems like it's more prevalent now.
Not only more prevalent, but they know more about the different areas of autism. He goes, do you know they took away the use of Asperger's?
Yeah, it's like autistic spectrum thing. Yeah, it's all on a big spectrum.
Spectrum.
Right.
And he goes,
That's more like a highly functioning autistic person.
yes. And he says, and now when they're looking at it, they can identify no, say that again. Don't walk away from that. He's showing me that scientists can now identify what causes autism in a healthy child. Erik is clearly identifying that there is a natural state of autism, that if one is born with it, and then there is a created autism in a healthy child. Huh.
Are there any differences between the two, beside the fact that one is acquired and one is congenital?
No.
What creates the acquired one?
God, this is where I wish you could see inside my head.
I'm in my
First,
horror movie.
first he's looking at the development of the immune system in a child. He's looking at the human growth within the first 2 years, and in brain growth, cellular development, and how it sets the pattern really for the rest of the child's life.
Okay.
So in my head, if you can imagine, he's showing a bunch of like circles with phalanges almost, looking to root somewhere, like a seed with a little leg. And that we have other cells that are kind of open like a Pac-Man mouth, and that they're meeting. And he said in some people, when they're building their immune system, they'll latch on to inappropriate receptors or different plugs.
Well, these white cells that are latching on to different, what's latching on to inappropriate receptors? Is there protein?
Well, it should be protein based, but with immunizations. Oh my God, I can't say that.
Immunizations?
Thank you.
Okay.
Why can't I say that today? That there's some that replicate certain proteins because they are, blockers. They're enhancers to kind of build the immune system. But they get, with some people, and it's not everyone, the body can't identify differences. It's like there's some identification process that fails, and then it sets the body up where it can't build what it needs to reach optimum, whatever. Like it fails to continue, and it almost sets the child back.
So,
reverse.
in other words, there's certain immunizations in some kids that create an immunological response that's unhealthy. Like, is it autoimmune, like immunity against oneself?
He's saying yes.
So it's almost like an autoimmune disease?
He says, but what it creates is a inability for the child to develop.
Oh,
It offsets the. I got a lot of pictures in my head and not a lot of words out of Eric's mouth. Um, it offsets the ability for the brain to process or to grow on track is kind of what he's suggesting.
okay. Well, what part does it attack of our own, of the autistic child's body? Must be probably in the brain, I guess, huh?
Son of a bitch. Come on. Just tell me the words.
Come on.
A lot of it looks like it's immune, and then a lot of it looks like it's like nerves that are building growth patterns. It's almost like it stops their nerves from sending signals back and forth and building a strong connection.
In the brain?
Like it overwrites what's a priority and what's not. And it almost reverses.
Okay, so it attacks the immune system, but it also attacks nerves, certain nerves in the brain.
Yes, he wants to explain it in a different way, but I don't
Okay.
think he knows how to get it across to me, but in a more simple way. Um, I'll say it, I don't care. Like if two kids were sitting back and forth and this was the nervous system and one was the brain and the other one was the response and they threw a ball back and forth 1,000 times and it had 1,000 times connection and it made it a top priority. But after some of these misidentifications of foreign substances, it's almost like it goes, oh, we shouldn't be throwing that ball back and forth. That's not important anymore. And so then the brain just holds on to the ball and doesn't throw it back and forth anymore. And therefore that connection isn't built. The muscle isn't strong. They don't deem it as a top priority anymore and it stops. But with supplements, with better diet, with
Yeah, I do.
omegas, with cultured foods and stuff
Yeah, I
like
want to
that.
talk about treatment in a little bit, but first I want to ask, what part of the brain do you see this occurring in? Or unless it's globally all throughout the brain.
Um, no, he's definitely highlighting more than one spot.
Okay.
Um, the it's not. Is this a word? Cognitive thinking.
Okay. Yeah.
It's not that area.
Okay.
Um, so it's the inside thinking part totally fine,
Okay.
but it's taking those thoughts and the expressing it.
Okay.
The environment engagement.
Okay. So
Um,
Brokaw's area, whatever expressive, wherever the expressive vocabulary.
because it's not with memory. Memory is sharp as a tack.
Okay.
It's not there.
All right.
But it would be with lack of expression and in some cases eye-hand coordinations
Okay.
where everything is being seen, but the body can't then identify how to interact with that. But it's being seen very clear with great depth, measurement, understanding, color, shape. None of that's distraught.
Okay. Well, is there any particular vaccine that is causing this?
He said there was, and a lot of it has been removed. A lot of it has been changed.
So something in the vaccine has been taken out.
Preservations?
Okay. The preservatives.
Preservatives?
Okay. All right. Now are the vaccines safe for?
Most of them. He
Okay.
won't give it a 100% stamp. He's going on one of his great Erik rants where he can't fucking understand why doctors won't let children build their own immune system until the age of 2, like other fucking countries, and then shoot them up to hell with all kinds of
I know, and we give them so
protective
many,
crap.
such high volume, and so many at the same time.
He said it really needs to be fucking based on weight
Yeah.
of person,
Yeah.
age of
I
fucking
agree.
person.
I agree. Yeah.
And we need
Um,
to, he says we
so,
definitely need to focus on how food builds the immune system and not these fucking man-made chemical things.
yeah, that's true. Now, what about the ones that come in here naturally autistic? Why do they do that?
He goes, check, sign that off, success. He goes, there's a great many reasons. He goes, I got to tell you, inside autistic, he goes, not the functioning autism. He goes, I want to go extreme, middle of the line, and extreme. He goes, it is a beautiful world inside of their head. It
Mm,
is a way to come in and observe and be a part of and not really have the experience of being held responsible to play a role in social societies and in culture. It's a way of almost being on the outskirts and being a teacher and director for those who are well behaved within cultural standards to say, you know what, they're getting away with it. Why can't I? He said, so in a way, it's like having a really great rule breaker and a really great teacher to say that it's okay to be free.
mm.
He goes, but we just don't see them that way. We get afraid when we see somebody who is, disabled or not functioning in the way that, you are.
Yeah, it's like
And he says
norm.
there's a lack of connection.
Right. Yeah.
He says that's going to stop because what's happening now is these beautiful universes stuck in these kids' heads. They're coming out with technology. They're learning how to tap into the brain so that that eye-hand coordination doesn't fucking matter anymore. That inability to express doesn't fucking matter because they're plugged straight into the brain. The computer is typing it out for them. It's recording it for them in their head and their brain waves. We can see them have emotional reactions and respond. We know that they are indeed engaging to the best way that they can in their environment. He says computers will set them free and we'll acknowledge it, and then we'll start to identify them as people and not some strange foreign, concept stuck in a human body.
What kind
They're not aliens.
of, how will this computer system work?
He's showing it embedded.
Oh, really? And so, what if it's embedded? How will it present itself to other people that they're having emotional responses, for example?
He goes, most extreme cases, they're not really out and about, mom. So it's really about being more connected to the family, to the care
Mm,
provider. It's more about being acknowledged for what they're needing. And I think the masses, what they'll catch on is maybe, one wants to start a blog, or one care provider is like, fuck this shit, this stuff's amazing, and they publish it. So we start to get a slice of life of what it's like to be inside of one's head and not able to engage with cultural norms, society's expectations, and what does life look like through somebody's eyes like that.
yeah.
And it really changes the way that we live, the way we choose to live our lives. Amazing fucking teachers, amazing people, amazing.
Well,
Because I don't get it. Like, why people are so rewarded for being intelligent and being maybe motivators or healers. And then we look at someone who really can't talk and we just say, oh, well, we can't learn anything from you. Like,
yeah. Well, see, human beings, that we're all about connections. And so when we have somebody that just has trouble connecting in the way we are accustomed to, it it makes it difficult for us.
he agrees, but he also says, fuck that shit. He goes, we're not the only ones who live for connection. He says, now that we're opening up and understanding elephants and chimpanzees and dolphins and whales,
Oh,
the
sure.
complex languages and needs and grief. And he says they desire connection as deeply as we do. We do not stand alone in this. But you're right. I was mentioning about how do we see other humans.
Yeah.
And it's true. If we don't feel like they can't communicate, we dismiss them.
Yeah. Do they want to connect?
Yes.
So how will this computer thing work? Is it going to like print out, I'm happy now, so give me a peanut butter sandwich, or how does it work?
He says at first it will really be able to highlight brain waves to be translated into emotional values.
And so
So we'll
it'll help the autistic kid create that emotion, display that emotion.
display it, yes, because the facial expressions aren't there. That's not part of what they are able to do physically. But, we'll be able to see it remotely on an iPad, that it lights up green. So they're loving what's happening around them, or that
Oh,
it lights up blue and they're tired and distant, and so we can relate to emotions. And he goes, but as soon as technology takes off, we'll be able to see what they're thinking. We'll see that they're seeing an elephant in their imagination. We'll see that they want to watch fucking Barney on TV.
yeah. There we go. Is any other contracts involved with people who, I mean, do they come here to learn anything?
They learn patience.
Okay.
They learn how to surrender. And they learn mostly how to observe.
Okay. What about teaching patience for the caregiver, I'm sure? Teaching that there are other types of normals as far as connecting and
As
because
far as
what
cultural and society goes, yeah. But they also teach a lot about anger.
hmm.
There's huge fits. There's these bursts. There's these, I can't handle being in my body, so I'm just going to make sounds. I'm just going to swing. I'm just going to have fits. And it's not about saying I'm angry at the care provider or angry at the world, but it's how do you love your body when it doesn't work in the way that you see other people's functioning just fine, just fine.
And they understand that intellectually.
Yes, yes.
So it is hard. So what kind of therapeutic approaches, spiritual approaches, for example?
Hello?
Yeah, I know that's all right. I got it. Yeah. What advice can we give to parents of autistic kids?
Nutrition is extremely, extremely important. Um, like I said before, the omega-3s, feeding a diet that decreases inflammation in the body, high
Like,
live cultured foods.
okay,
Mm-hmm.
live call. Okay. What about one of the most potent anti-inflammatories, shaga mushroom tea? Would that help?
Sign them up for that shit. He goes, my mom is a high advocate of that. In fact, they should have her photograph
I
next to the mushroom.
mushrooms, not the psychedelic kind. Don't worry.
Mushroom mascot, that's
That,
you.
that's really exactly. So, but what can we tell parents? What other advice can we tell parents? Like, for example, when they're having a meltdown, what do you do?
He says, first of all, I would love for people to know that the environment for an autistic person is different than the environment person of a normal person. So, like, if you're setting them up with, a bed that's all wooden with nice posts and, shelves with books and breakables and
Oh,
stuff like that, he's like, what the fuck are you doing? Your kid has certain needs. Throw out the norm. Dude, get him a big old fluffy bed and a bing bag and all kinds of shit that you can just throw yourself against and really feel safe in your environment and need to express. You know, look at all the options and see that as a motivator of having fun, of having some connection. Is this going to work today? Does my son want to have something heavy? Does he want to feel embraced? Does he like the color red today? He's also talking not just specifically to the environmental needs of someone who's autistic, but sound, um, being able to identify what sounds are in the household, really listening. He's like, dude, like get into the head of like how that woman did with the cows when they got slaughtered. She was autistic. She heard, wait.
I don't know this.
Yeah, I was asking, how did we get on cows?
I
What just
know.
happened? There's an autistic woman who didn't like how cows were getting slaughtered. And she went through the process herself to see what they saw, what they heard, and how their bodies reacted, because that's how she responded to her world. It wasn't so much about the language and the ease of a process that doesn't work for an autistic person. You have to look at what's visual. What is the light like? What does it smell like? What are the sounds? And then she redesigned it, and the cows stopped panicking before the moment of slaughter. That's
Oh,
so sad.
that is sad. I'm not going to have a hamburger today.
Uh,
So,
uh,
well, what do we do for children who are having a meltdown? You have a kid
oh,
thrashing about, even if it's on a fluffy bed. I hate to see them suffer like that. What do you do?
but it's not really a suffer, Mom. For a healthy person to have a tantrum like that, that's a suffer. For an autistic person to have a tantrum, it's a moment of expression.
Oh, okay.
It's a moment of bursts of energy, of movement, even if it's not the accepted behavior that we want to see from someone we love.
So do not.
They're finally blowing up. If their environment's safe and they're not going to bite their tongue, or ram into a wooden wall, then it's safe. You gotta let them go for it. If they like to throw shit, man, give them stuff that they can throw, and just say, you go and get you to a safe place so that this can happen.
Yeah.
But the immediate response to pacified behavior that isn't deemed acceptable to someone who can't be acceptable,
Yeah.
because of their circumstance, he goes, it's fucking ridiculous.
Yeah. Can you help facilitate connection? Help them connect to others?
Yeah. So in a tantrum like that, if they're not physically going to harm themselves or the environment, I'd step back. I would make sure there's smell. I would use aromatherapy like nobody's fucking
Mm.
business. And that when they're calm and happy and doing shit they like, I spray it. And then when they have the tantrum, I spray it so they're remembered of the
Oh,
calm and happy time that they used to have. So every time that they're happy, I would spray something. Citrus, I don't care, whatever they like, let them pick it.
okay.
And then I would also turn on the music that they like to hear when they're having a tantrum. And if they're responding to that, like, fuck you, I don't want to hear that shit, turn it off.
Yeah.
Like, like respect it. Because the tantrum's going to come and go. And they're going to feel better for having it. That's like when a kid cries and you go to the kid and you're like, stop crying. Why are you fucking crying? You don't need to be crying.
Oh.
Straighten up. What the fuck? The kid needs to cry, man. Let them
Huh.
cry. They won't cry all night. But if you're doing this shit, they're going to fucking cry all night.
They.
Congratulations.
uh, Last question. Any more advice before we close?
Yeah, if you're working with a physician who just kind of says, well, this is where we are, accept it, politely take a bow, give them the finger, and find somebody else who has the concept of, as your child grows with autism, severe or non, so do the treatments. You keep trying something new until it clicks. Because once a child understands how to use a program, or how to point at images, or how to enjoy their room in a certain way, because you laid it out in the way that they really want. Maybe it took you 5 fucking years to figure that shit out. But if you didn't keep trying, you'd never get the answer. So if you're not having a medical team support you in this way, a therapeutic setting to support your changing growth,
Then get one.
get one. politely bow out of that shit,
And energy,
get one that is going to change.
what about energy healing, helping the chakras? Maybe their chakras are kind of like, would that help?
Oh, it's incredible. Color healing,
Okay.
energy, long distance healing.
Okay.
He says it's beautiful. Nutrition is huge. You got to
Mm,
harness that physical body and change its growth. Every 7 years, we get a whole new fucking body.
that's true.
So what are you doing? What are you doing to change it in those 7 years?
Okay, last question.
Something to think
Will there
about.
ever be a cure? And if so, when?
A cure for those who come in with autism?
Well,
There's a
I don't know, either one.
the way he shows it is there are those who, what did you call it? They get it chemically.
Oh, congenitally or acquired?
So
Acquired is
acquired.
right.
Some of the acquired ones have been healed through nutrition.
Mm-hmm.
Some of them have been like 50 to 80% healed,
Okay.
but they still have a little, something that they just didn't have before, but it's totally fine.
Right.
For those who were born with it, there's not much progress made because they can't figure out how to get the brain to start throwing the ball that it never threw before. So it's more of technological advancements. Like if they do hook up the brain and the person responds to the emotion as they see it on the iPad,
Mm-hmm.
then they have a response, and all of a sudden the brain's like, dude, we threw the ball. And so it will start to build connection, and
Okay.
soon the way that the program is reading the brain, it's not necessary because the person's learning from it throughout the years. It's a slow growth, but yes, I do see that there are fixes. I wouldn't say 100% cures, but it's extremely hopeful. Here's where we get to applaud science
Yes.
and innovation and change.
That's awesome. Well, I applaud you and Jamie for a great session. Thank
Yay!
you guys. Stay tuned for the messages that follow, and thank you for watching us.
Yes, thank
I
you. Eric says, see you
love,
later.
I love you, Erik.
I love you, Mom. I love you, everybody. Thanks for tuning in.
Bye.
Bye, guys. Bye.